Good Friday morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to yet another weekly Friday edition of The Chat, also known as the Alan Fitz Podcast. Good morning to all of our listeners out there. My name is Alan Fitz. I am the host for the show this morning, and again, welcome into the program. And as always, we want to welcome in our three main listening audiences. Number one, those that do agree with what we talk about. They do leave positive remarks out there. In social media land, they tell their family and friends. Our number two listening audience, well, they don't quite, folks, agree with just everything that we talk about, but they do leave constructive criticism on a positive level, and we greatly appreciate that. And of course, last but not least, the people that motivate my podcast, it's the haters out there. They can't see the forest for the trees. We pay no attention to them. But my haters are my motivators. Again, welcome into the chat this Friday morning here at sunrise, live from our studios here in Amarillo, Texas. Well, folks, we're going to be talking about something, and this podcast goes out to those out there that may not, you stay so busy with work, you may not keep up with things that go on. And this is something that we definitely want to bring up, again, especially to those that don't keep up with anything. You're just simply, again, too busy. You have a 16-hour day lifestyle, and you really don't know what's going on. It's some of those people out there, they work all the time. They don't even have time to come home and turn the television on to find out what's going on in the world. But there is something going on here in Texas, and it actually started last August. And of course, I knew about it, but I wasn't podcasting during that time. We didn't begin podcasting actually until December of last year, when we first started putting the podcast up on the YouTube channel that you're listening to now. And yes, I knew something about it, and I knew that I wanted to get it on the podcast. And other things have just gone on left and right, and I finally got to where I could get around to it and talk about it. And folks, this is something that everyone needs to know about. I'm sure a lot of you probably already know about it, but for those of you that don't, the next time you go to the driver license office to either renew your driver's license, change your address on your driver's license, or if you're a first-time applicant to get a driver's license, you're going to notice a new design that is already has come out on the Texas driver's license, commercial driver's license, and ID cards. The DPS rolled out a new driver's license design again last August the 18th of 2025, and I want to touch on this and talk about why the DPS has done this. It's actually for two main reasons, and we're talking about the Real ID program. We talk about, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about that, about the gold star that you have to have up in the upper right-hand corner of your driver's license here in Texas in order for you to travel out of the country, get passports, things of that nature. But Texas has also rolled out something called the Texas Driving with Disability Program. And I want to kind of stop right there before we get into the program and talk about this Driving with Disability Program, or the TDDP, as we will abbreviate it. I'm sure a lot of you that do keep up with the news and keep up with different things, local, county, and even statewide Texas news. And in other states actually have heard of law enforcement that have had interactions with drivers that are having medical conditions. Uh, One, it seems like one that I have read most of all and have had the most reading uh, probability, if you will, on the issues is especially people that are either deaf, hard of hearing, or those that are diabetic that have gone into some type of medical emergency, have been wrongfully arrested for driving while intoxicated and not had a drop of alcohol to drink. We're going to get into that a little bit more as the program goes on. But before we do actually start the program, for those of you that are in front of either a laptop or a desktop computer, or even if you have your cell phone on you, I encourage you right now to go to alanfitz.com. That is my webpage for the podcast. Again, that is alanfitz.com. You're going to click on the More tab, and you're going to scroll down to where it says New Driver's License Images. That's what you're looking for. That's the wording that you're looking for. Again, you go to alanfitz.com, you click on the More tab, and you scroll down to New Driver's License Images. And you're going to pull up a little bit about what I'm talking about here. You're also going to be able to see the old designs compared to now the new design that is out from the Texas Department of Public Safety. As I get started on this section, I want to give credit to Sheridan Nolan, who is the press secretary for the Texas Department of Public Safety, in the communications office down at DPS headquarters in Austin. Again, Sheridan Nolan. Having a little bit of difficulty saying your name there. The press secretary. We reached out to Nolan and asked them, could they please provide us with some additional information to where we could make this podcast complete. And Sheridan was very happy to do this. So as you go to that alanfitz.com, click on the More tab and scroll down to the New Driver's License Designs, I want you folks to look at something. It's actually the first photo that you're coming to, and it's the latest news from the Texas Department of Public Safety. DPS rolls out new driver's license design, and this is what the new driver's license actually looks like. For those of you, again, if you go into a driver license office or you're online to change your address or whatever the case may be, this is what your new driver's license is going to look like. And it's basically, I guess, in the term to use, it's kind of blah looking, if you will. It's kind of a black and white, if you will, except for the hologram and the new Texas blue silhouette that you're looking at there on the photo on the webpage. Now, if you will notice, and I've actually seen quite a few of the new driver's licenses just here in Amarillo, you know, people in the grocery store, people in convenience store, having to pull their driver's license out to purchase alcohol, tobacco products, whatever the case may be. They have to scan the barcode on the back of the driver's license. I haven't seen, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen the blue hologram silhouette yet. Mainly the one that I've been seeing is a brown silhouette. But I want you to take a look at this. very, very closely, and you will notice on that particular photo, you will see the state of Texas seal with the gold star there on the upper right-hand corner of the license. What I want you to take a look at real closely is the star that you're seeing. Now, this is the real ID identification. Also, next to what you're looking at is the old design licenses, and we're going to get into that here as the podcast continues on. But when they first, this real ID thing came out, they wanted to use the gold star. But the problem is there has been a lot of counterfeiting going on, according to the latest DPS press release on these driver's licenses. So basically what has happened with this is, if you will notice, and again, we also reached out to a DPS driver's license division chief, Sherry Gibson. This is Miss Gibson is over the driver's license printing procedure, Texas statewide there at DPS headquarters in Austin. We asked her basically straight up, what's going on? I mean, why are we changing all of this over? And in her email, she told me this new card design will make it even more difficult for criminals to produce counterfeit cards. And it enhances ways we can protect Texas identities from being stolen. Now, if you look, if you're looking at the new driver, this is the sample driver's license. It's on my website. These new driver's license cards are actually made of a tamper-resistant polycarbonate material. Okay, and that material itself is very difficult to reproduce, and it's also compliant with something called the AAMVA. And to break that down, that's the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. Now, the gold star has changed on the new design. Instead of a gold star, the new driver's license cards now feature a black laser engraved star in the upper right hand corner to indicate real ID compliance. Now, for those of you that are still the holders, and I am one of them, of the red, white, and blue hologram, if you will, card that's in color, your license is still valid until the expiration date. Okay, so, I mean, you don't have to go, you're hearing this podcast, you're seeing this picture, and you're thinking to yourself, oh no, my driver's license is no good, I need to rush down to the driver's license office and change this thing over. No, that's not necessary to do, ladies and gentlemen. Your license is still valid until the expiration date. As a matter of fact, if you look at the black and white sample card that is produced, and as a matter of fact, we are going to leave these sample cards that were provided by the Texas Department of Public Safety Driver's License Division. We are going to leave these up for the entire month of June. Okay, so those of you that are not listening to the podcast as it's coming out this morning, and you may be one of these kind of people that listen to it on the weekends when you're off, you will have a reference point to go back to. So again, we're going to leave these sample photos up for you until the end of this month. One thing that you will notice on that particular card is you're seeing the lasered tamper-resistant card. It has the black laser engraved star. You will notice if you go down just about midway, you will see something. It's a black box. It says communication impediment on this particular license. If you go on down, you'll also see that Jane Sample there is a disabled veteran, and she's also a donor. But let's focus our attention on the black rectangular square, if you will, that says communication impediment. Now, what this is for is this is telling law enforcement that this individual has an impediment that needs to be announced to a law enforcement officer under the TDDP. Again, that's the Texas Driving with Disability Program. If you look over to the right-hand side, you will see two additional licenses that have, and we've actually put a red square around this, and there's two different types that you will notice. On the first one is the driver's license itself, communication impediment, and the one below this is deaf or hard of hearing. And what this does is it is telling law enforcement, what it's basically doing, folks, is improving the communication between the law enforcement officer and a Texan who is driving that has been pulled over and is having professional contact with a law enforcement officer, that they have a certain disability or a health condition. Now, you'll also notice two different entities with this driver's license sample that we're looking at. Basically, if you look at the one at the bottom, it says limited term under driver's license, and that's deaf or hard of hearing. That basically, from what I can understand, folks, is a short-term license that, again, her name is Jane Sample, in this driver's license photo, is undergoing treatment from a doctor that is trying to improve her hearing. So that is a limited term driver's license, whereas you see the driver's license on top, it's just basically driver's license. It does not have the limited term stamp put on it. That is permanent communication impediment, and that can mean, whatever it means, and they can actually, folks, I know a lot of you may not believe this, but this is very, very true. The law enforcement officer can actually radio back to the dispatcher, to this individual that they're having the professional contact with. And the dispatcher can actually relay what the impediment is to the law enforcement officer that has them pulled over and detained temporarily. It could be anything from this individual is hard of hearing, they are wearing hearing aids, or at least they're supposed to be wearing hearing aids, whatever the case may be. That dispatcher will have the ability to communicate with the law enforcement officer on this. And a lot of you may ask yourself, how does the dispatcher know that? Well, it's because of Form DL 101, and I'm going to explain to you what that is. Form DL 101 is the physician's psychiatric statement that has to be on file with the Texas Department of Public Safety. And you have to meet one of the criteria of the communication impediment indicator. Okay? Let me read something to you, and then we will get into exactly what that is. Let's first of all look up Texas Transportation Code 521.142H. Again, that is Texas Transport, and go ahead and jot that down if you want to look it up. It's Texas Transportation Code 521.142H. What this is, it allows the Texas Department of Public Safety to include on an individual's driver's license or identification card any health condition that may impede the individual's communication with a peace officer. Now, the health condition must be evidenced by the signed statement that is on file with the DPS that is issued from a licensed physician or licensed psychiatrist. Now, by providing that information, the phrase communication impediment or deaf or hard of hearing will be printed on the driver's license or identification card. The communication impediment form is to be filled out by both the patient and the physician/psychiatrist, and that form must be completed and returned by the applicant to the Texas Department of Public Safety before the indicator is added to the DL or ID. And now, the communication impediment indicator has several factors, and if you meet one of these criterias, that communication impediment stamp will be placed upon the driver's license. Now, this type of group needs more time to respond to a police officer. In other words, let's say that you're out here on Interstate 40 in Amarillo and you're not driving in a single marked lane, haven't had anything to drink, you're not impaired chemically or by any type of medication, drug, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and let's say a highway patrol officer decides to light you up and pull you over. Officer walks up to your window, identifies him or herself, and says, "Why are you driving all over the road?" Well, in a police officer's mind, folks, they want an immediate response to them. However, a communication impediment indicator, these type of people actually need more time to respond to that officer. Now, in order to meet the communication impediment indicator group, to get that stamp marked on the driver's license, the conditions, and these are, folks, only examples of conditions, but they must include autism, which does include the Asperger syndrome, the mild intellectually disability, Down syndrome, Parkinson's disease, speech and language disorder, which can be anything from speech delay, asphyxia, mutism, or stuttering, the post-traumatic stress disorder, and yes, we're talking about PTSD, a brain injury, or an individual that does have cerebral palsy. Deaf or hard of hearing indicators. Now, this group communicates through different methods, such as including visual language, like sign language or assistant technology. Deaf or hard of hearing. So naturally, if an officer pulls someone over and the officer's talking to them and they just kind of look at them, if the officer is trained in sign language, which to my understanding there are a lot of law enforcement officers graduating the academy and then going on and learning adult sign language to communicate with these folks. Again, you have the communication impediment indicator, and then you have the deaf or hard of hearing indicator. And this can also be found on the alanfitch.com webpage. It's labeled under the physician and psychiatric statement. And folks, feel free to click on that and print it if you need to. Again, that is under Texas Transportation Code 521.142H. Let's talk a little bit more about the new design that we are actually seeing on the driver's licenses. And you go way on over and you will see And I know a lot of you will remember this. You will see the oldest, the previous, and the current designed driver's licenses. I kind of wanted ask them to send me something that I could look at and share with you. On the top, you will see the newest, the current, and the oldest designs driver's licenses, where Texas has, for an example, over in the far right-hand corner, you will see the actual color driver's license, where Texas is in blue, driver's license is in red. That began back in April of 2009. This is actually the longest running design Texas driver's license that they've actually had in the history of when driver's licenses started in Texas. This ran again from April 2009 to February the 23rd. Just 6 years ago, came to an end back in 2020. The current design that you're seeing, it started February the 24th of 2020. Only went about 5.5 years to August the 31st of 2025. They actually carried over about a week and a half to the current design that is being used now, that started back last year on August the 18th. Five of those photos that you're looking at are actually, there's 6 of them on there. I apologize for that. The 3 on top are basically regular driver licenses over 21. The 4 on the bottom are the under 21 driver's licenses, which are designed differently. And that automatically tells law enforcement that they are a minor. So, they go in to try to buy tobacco products, alcohol, things of that nature. They scan the back of the card. It's not going to go through. It's going to show a restriction back to the computer that is, or the wand that they're using to try to scan their driver licenses, and it's not going to allow them to purchase it. One thing I want to talk about right quick on the new design, and I want you folks to pay very close attention to this. Looking at the current design to the previous design, and the previous design that I'm referring to is the red, white, and blue Texas hologram that is embedded into the center of the license. You will notice, if you look at it, and then you look to the left, and we're on the top line of those 6 driver's licenses that you're looking at through the web page. You'll notice the new design, not only the way that the wording is printed out, but you'll notice on the current design that it's much more cleaner than it was on the issuant date from February 24th, 20 to August 31st of 25. Now, let me go in and explain to you exactly why the DPS has actually done that, and it'll kind of give you a better idea of what you're actually looking at. And I'm actually on my computer as we speak, and I'm having to go back and look at notes that I have to better inform you of what I'm looking at as well. But one of the things that you are noticing is on the current date license, let me click right here to where I can help you better understand this. And this is something that you cannot see on the web page. On the new design license, and we're talking about the brand new ones that just came out, along with an updated design, the new cards have increased security features, including being made of polycarbonate material that is tamper resistant and difficult to reproduce. It also meets the standards set by the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. Again, the new card continue to feature a star in the upper right hand corner to indicate the card is a real ID compliant. It is laser engraved and will appear black. The current organ donor and veteran identifiers will remain the same, and the new design provides all information necessary for identification and verification purposes in an easy-to-read format. You'll notice that the type is a lot different on the new licenses compared to the old licenses. Now, let's talk about the security features that are on this. Again, this is something you cannot read. This is information that was provided to me through the DPS. I'm assuming you can probably find this information on their website, although I haven't actually looked. One of the new security features that are on the new license, we're talking about the black and white license, included lines that do appear in the photo area. Now, in some circumstances, the lines may appear on the sides of the face instead of around it. For example, people who are bald or have lighter hair may have more prominent lines appear in that photo area. The card is still valid as long as the person's eyes, nose, and mouth are not overlapped by those lines. We'll tell you where that started. How many of you remember when the new 7-digit Texas license plates rolled out, the black and white license plates? A lot of you may not have ever noticed this, but there are 4 wavy lines that run down, 2 on the left, 2 on the right side of your Texas license plate. Now, this is the black and white license plate that has the 7 digits. This is to identify to law enforcement that the license plate is not counterfeit. Well, basically, the Texas Department of Public Safety is doing the same thing with the driver's licenses on those lines. Now, let me make a note of something for you folks to remember here. Taking a new photo at a driver's license office will not change your appearance of the lines on the card. The DPS at this time does not recommend that you take a new photo at this particular time. Basically what they're saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that continue to use your license that you are in current possession of until the expiration date. Of course, you need to renew it before the expiration date because there is basically no boundary of expiration time allowed in Texas. You don't have any grace period on this. You have a 5-day grace period on your blue and white registration sticker, but not on your driver's license. So you need to make sure that you renew your driver's license before the expiration date. Even if you don't have the physical card in your possession, the receipt that you get upon renewing your license does tell a peace officer that you have renewed and your license continues to be valid. It's not necessary to run up and get a new photo or a new driver's license done prior to your expiration date. The driver's license that you have now is still valid. Now, in response to customer concerns about the lines, this security feature will be removed from the photo area. Now, back on July the 16th of 2021, the driver's license for anyone 21 or older, now you've already seen this change. The driver's license for anyone under 21 and identification cards, they were changed later in the year on 2021. So all of you under 21 at that time have already seen that change. You may continue to use your current card and it will be accepted by law enforcement and other agencies for identity and proof of driving privileges. When the new card design is available, you can get a replacement card for $11, and you can receive the card without the lines. Now, again, this was prior to that time, okay? So now when you get your driver's license, you're going to have those lines on it. There are different things that Texas has implemented on these brand new cards in addition to what we've already talked about. One of those is what is called the tactile test. And it's the customer ID and name are laser engraved on the card, raising the print and in making it more difficult to tamper with or modify. You also have a magnetic strip on the back, and we'll call that the magnetic stripe. It now has 3 tracks of the cardholder's information and is readable by a standard magnetic strip reader. The endorsements, cardholder specific endorsements are applicable for CDL drivers only, like myself. The restrictions. You also have what is now known as the PDF 417 barcode. This is information that is printed on the card about the card holder and is readily accessible by using a PDF 417 compatible scanner and, of course, the ghost photo. This is the hologram that we've been talking about. So, again, for those of you that are not, again, you're one of those really, really extremely busybodies. You really don't keep up with anything. You may not even be aware that this is taking place. Yes, folks, it is now right on your doorstep when you renew your driver's license. Let's go back and look at that black and white license again. You'll notice that you have just to the right of Jane Sample's photo, we're looking at the black and white, the new license. Everything in type is now in black, where it used to not be. You have your DL number, you have your date of birth, and of course she has a Class A license, a Class A driver's license. Her name, her address, her date of birth, her expiration date, her sex, her height, and her eye color, and of course you have the communication impediment stamp there, and then of course endorsements and restrictions. They're going to be none on driver's licenses unless of course it is something Class A driver's license. You would have just to give you a quick example, a restriction to wear corrective lenses, a B restriction, which would appear on the under 21 license. That's LOFS 18 or over in the front seat. That's a licensed operator in the front seat. For those teenagers that have the B restriction to where they can't just go out and drive themselves around, they've got to have somebody in the front seat with them that is a full-blown holder. This also will apply to a commercial driver's license. If someone out there is attempting to get a commercial driver's license for the very first time, it would look similar to this. It would be a Class A driver's license with an R restriction. The R restriction is they cannot operate a commercial motor vehicle unless there's a full-blown CDL holder, such as myself, over in the jump seat, which is the passenger seat of the tractor, and then they can legally drive the commercial motor vehicle. Down on the blue hologram, you will see a set of numbers just to the left of the holographic image of Jane Sample. This is basically an audit number that is used, basically a receipt number, if you will, of the driver's license. That basically tells, same thing as the DD number, that is the audit number of the driver's license. And folks, I used to know what that audit number was. I could tell you pinpoint where that driver's license was issued. I can't do it anymore because I've actually forgotten about it. But those numbers that you're seeing to the left of the hologram in the Blue Texas silhouette, those numbers are actually not present on the new driver's license, not with the brown silhouette. Again, I have not seen the blue silhouette licenses yet of a hologram, but if there is a blue one, that those numbers, that is a number that is used to identify basically the receipt of the license. They're able to look at that number and tell exactly what number license was issued from that office. But again, I have not seen those yet. I do not believe that they exist. I was not able to get back in contact with Sheridan Nolan prior to this podcast being released. But I believe the blue colored silhouette is just for illustration purposes only in these photos and the latest news from the DPS rollout of the new driver's license designs. All the ones that I've seen, again, are brown. So I do not believe that blue silhouette actually exists. I think this is strictly for illustration purposes only. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is what your new Texas driver's license will look like when you go in to renew your license. I do want everyone to know, and a lot of people may not know this, and I want to throw this out there as well. The Texas driver's licenses are good now for 8 years. Also, commercial driver's licenses are good for 8 years, unless the CDL holder has a hazmat endorsement, and unfortunately they're only going to be good for 5 years, and we'll get into that here momentarily, and I'll explain to you why there's a difference in that. Unless something has changed through DPS driver's license, and I've been looking at the material prior to this podcast, and I haven't found any changes that were made, but the Texas driver's license, again, is good now for 8 years, and you are allowed one time to renew a driver's license online. One time. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, what that should tell you is if you're able to renew it, then you have to go back in 16 years, at least, to have your eyes checked, a new photo made, and of course a new signature. Now this is strictly only for Texas driver's license. Driver's license is the key word here, not commercial driver's license. This is driver's license only. You are allowed to renew one time on expiration of 8 years. Your photo will remain the same. You can renew on the Texas DPS's driver's license website, and you'll receive a new license, and it'll be valid for another 8 years. Now, on the commercial driver's licenses, this is different because the state does not regulate the commercial driver's license. This is regulated by the Federal Department of Transportation, the DOT. Commercial driver license holders like myself, we are able to only change our addresses on our CDL online. Whether the CDL is issued for a 5-year period or an 8-year period, that is basically all you can do as a CDL holder is update your, and I think I said renew your address. No, I meant update your address, change of address, the COA. You're allowed to change your address on your CDL without physically having to go into a driver's license office. On a CDL, it depends on the endorsements and this is information that I know for a fact. I have been a CDL holder for over 40 years, and it's much, much different than having a regular driver's license. If you have a hazardous material endorsement on your CDL, you can only renew every 5 years, not 8 years. This is a federal DOT requirement. You have to physically go back into a driver's license office, and you have to be physically retested on the hazardous material test. And it's not just in Texas, folks. This is in every state of the United States. This is a federal DOT requirement. You have to resubmit your fingerprints, your thumbprints, the whole 9 yards in order to renew that CDL of 5 years. It doesn't matter how many endorsements you carry on your CDL, as long as you do not have hazardous material. The commercial driver's license is valid for 8 years, but you cannot renew a CDL license online, period. You physically must go back into a driver's license office, and you have to renew your license in your home state. In other words, you can't live here, say in Amarillo, and legally hold an Oklahoma commercial driver's license. That is illegal. You have to hold a Texas license, which of course Amarillo is here in Texas. So why do CDL holders have to do that? Well, it's because there's certain requirements that have to be met with commercial driver's licenses. And yes, the commercial driver's licenses look just like this, as a matter of fact, the new black and white copy. Everybody is being affected by the change. Commercial driver license holders have to physically go into a driver's license office because they have to, of course, number one, pass the eye exam, and number two, they have to pass what is known as the color coding exam, which generally, to my understanding now, the DPS does not do that anymore. They used to, years and years ago. Not only did you have to take the eye exam in the driver license office, but you also had to take what was known as a colorblind test, to where you can identify the colors red, yellow, and green, such as a traffic light. That is no longer done, to my knowledge, in any Texas driver's license office. That is done at the physician's level when you go take your DOT physical. The physicians now are empowered by the states to issue the colorblind test, because if you're colorblind, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot possess a commercial driver's license. Also, if you take insulin injections, type 1 diabetes, you cannot possess or be issued a commercial driver's license. No type of insulin injections. And there are ways that they find out that is all done in the DOT exam. So this is why the driver licenses and the commercial driver's licenses vary just a little bit. Again, they have to go in and again take the physical eye exam, which the vision cannot be any worse than 20/50. Now, this is according to federal DOT regulations. So you have to go in there to at least take the eye exam to make sure that you can be reissued the CDL. If the vision goes below that threshold, then there could be an A restriction put on the CDL that would require the driver to wear corrective lenses or glasses while they're driving. So you folks that have driver licenses, you're able to renew online one time in an 8-year period, which means your second time that you go in, you would physically have to go in to take the eye exam and all that good stuff. They also will continue the communication impediment. It depends on how the physician signs it. It could be a lifetime impediment, or it could have an expiration date. A lot of that will go back to a handicap placard. And I do want to throw that up right quick before we do end the podcast. And I did not have time to change the title card, ladies and gentlemen, on this. But getting to that, a lot of you may have noticed that the 1st of June, which was this past Monday, we put a link up on the AlanFitch.com web page wanting some of your show ideas. I mean, I'm plenty busy. I have a lot of podcasts lined up, as you can see if you visit the alanfitch.com page a lot. But I wanted for some of you out there, the listeners, to be able to say, hey, I've got some show ideas. I want to throw this up. And one of the emails actually that we received, they wanted me to do they had a show idea between, here in Texas, between the blue and the red handicap placard. This is the thing that you hang up on your rear view mirror when you're parked in a handicap space, such as a grocery store or wherever the case may be. And unfortunately, I can't do a show on that because there's not enough information for me to carry it up to an hour. So I will throw this in and explain to that individual that did send an email in what is the difference between the red and the blue handicap placard. And for those of you wondering, this also would actually apply to a Texas driver's license if there is some kind of communication impediment. Now, before I get into the blue and red colored handicap placards, again, that communication impediment, when a law enforcement officer sees that, I'm going to assume that he would immediately radio back to his dispatcher and ask exactly what is the communication impediment. That dispatcher, again, will have that on file and will be able to communicate to the officer what the communication impediment is. So then the officer will know how to approach and communicate professionally with whoever he has stopped on the side of the road. This would also pretty much apply to the red and blue handicap placard colors. A red colored handicap placard that you hang on your rear view mirror is temporary, okay? Generally, and from the information that we could ascertain on this, is issued by a licensed physician that is good anywhere from 6 months to 1 year. Again, the red handicap placard is a temporary placard. Going back to the Texas driver's license on communication impediment, well, if it's just stamped on the license and the license says driver's license, more than likely that is going to indicate that that is a permanent impediment. Again, if it's stamped on their limited term, that is temporary, which means it would take a physician signature to release that stamp from that driver's license. So basically, a red handicap placard is a limited term parking permit, such as the limited term driver's license, which could be deaf or hard of hearing. The blue colored handicap placard is permanent. Now, before I get into the permanent placard, let's back up to the red placard. It does not matter what color the placard is. There's going to be an expiration date written on that placard and hole punched out. On the blue handicap placard, the same would apply. It's still punched out, but it is only valid for a 4-year period of time from the date of issuance. And it's not the day, it's the month of issuance. So let's say you go to your doctor this upcoming Monday, and he writes you a permanent handicap disability placard. You would be valid at that point from the day it's punched out, issued by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles, June to 2030. It's valid for a period of 4 years, just like a driver's license. It has an expiration date on it. But to the individual that did send the email, that is the difference between the blue and the red placard. Again, the red placard is a temporary placard It is issued for a period generally from 6 months to a year. Expiration date written and punched on the card. The blue placard is valid for a period of 4 years and does not need a physician's order to renew. Basically what you do is you take that blue placard in there, you show your ID, and they reissue you another placard for a period of 4 years. So it's permanent. It's good for the rest of your life. It doesn't cost anything, but it has to be renewed every 4 years by the expiration date. So for those of you out there, again, you do not need to rush up to any Texas driver license office here in the state to get your hands on the new license, because it's not going to change your expiration date. You're basically going to be spending $11 for nothing, okay? Your license, the red, white, and blue Texas Silhouette hologram that you currently are in possession of, if you still have that license again is valid. It is accepted by law enforcement and other agencies until the expiration date that is printed on that license, at which time you will need to renew it before the expiration date. And I believe you can renew up, I believe it's 90 days. And if I'm wrong out there, Sheridan, if you're listening down at DPS in Austin, if I'm wrong on that, please send me an email and I will make a correction. But I believe it's either 60 or 90 days prior to your expiration date, you can renew your driver's license. And once you do, your new driver's license will be mailed to you, and it will look exactly like that black and white license that you're seeing in the sample photos. And with that being said, that will wrap up this weekly Friday edition of the chat. Not 100% sure what our topic will be next Friday. Again, you can visit this YouTube channel that you're listening to this podcast on, AlanFitz.com. Now I'm talking about the webpage, folks. So let's do the webpage first. That's AlanFitz.com. You can always scroll down and see what the next projected, I will say, podcasts are. These are subject to change. The dates are subject to change. Check it often, and you'll know what the latest upcoming podcast versions are. Or, again, you can visit right here on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/@AlanFitzPodcasting. Generally, on the following Monday to this podcast, the topic will be posted. Hope this was educational for everybody out there, and enjoy your new black and white designed driver's licenses here in Texas, kind of like your black and white license plates that you have now on your vehicles. And as always, until we meet again next Friday, my friends, this is Alan Fitz saying have a great Friday, have a wonderful weekend, and bye for now.